Welcome back to the channel, my friends. I am Kevin. This is Reading the Room. Sorry I've been gone for so long. Got a new computer. Had to do a bunch of transferring stuff from my old, retired, beautiful laptop that did me a good 5 years on YouTube. But we're going to talk about something that I don't know if I just blatantly forgot about or if it just slipped my mind. But it is the small-scale Stark Civil War that took place before the large-scale Targaryen Civil War. Sorry, I'm going to be drinking coffee the entire time. It's 10 o'clock at night, and you boys tired. So the Starks are known for their unity, or more or less known for their unity. They normally stick together, but before the War of the Five Kings, before the Dance of the Dragons, the wolves turned on each other, if you will. There was a brief struggle. And I call it a small-scale civil war because it looks like it was basically Winterfell was split in two. The story begins with Lord Rickon Stark, who was wise, proud, powerful. He was Cregan Stark's father. He ruled during a time of peace across the Seven Kingdoms, but when he died, his heir, Cregan Stark, was just a wee boy. Too young to rule, too young to defend his claim. So in the meantime, Cregan's uncle, who, from all the research I could find, is pretty much unnamed. Now, fans say that his name was Bernard or Edric. George said nay, didn't give a name. He was basically put in charge as regent of the North until Cregan Stark came of age, but as the years passed, the uncle kind of seemed to enjoy his power and didn't let Cregan Stark take over. So at first, he ruled as expected, maintained Winterfell, tending to the North's needs, sending people where they need to go, keeping the other houses in line. But when Cregan grew to manhood and demanded his birthright, his uncle said, "Nah, go sit down." Power had taken root with his uncle, and he just would not give up. Winterfell was no longer ruled by its rightful lord, if you will, but one who clung to authority, somebody who clung to authority that was never supposed to have any in the first place. So you see this time and time again in actual history where a person is like, hey, your dad died, you're young, your uncle will be in charge. And then you say, nah, I'm king now, sorry. Sorry, sport. And it just kind of goes from there. So Cregan, while young, he was a larger Stark, if you will. He was tall, strong, fiercely determined. Again, he was young, but he wasn't a child. He was at an age where he could actually fight. Other knights throughout the Westeros world, other people have definitely made their first kill. I believe Jaime Lannister made his first kill younger than Cregan Stark, trying to take back his birthright. So this is where we run into some problems, some issues with records. Records from that era are sparse. Hence why we can't come up with his uncle's name, even though this was a pretty solid event for the North. Cregan gathered his men, those who remembered who actually, was supposed to be in charge, and they moved to reclaim what was his. How exactly he did it, no one really knows. Whether it was actually by a battle, whether it was through intimidation, was it through the loyalty he had from more people, but the result was the same. Winterfell was once more in the rightful hands of the person he was supposed to be in. So the fate of Cregan's uncle has been lost to time. Like a lot of records from this era, some say he was imprisoned, others say he was executed, some say he was sent away in disgrace. It's the North. More than likely, he was going to be executed or sent to the wall. Both valid options. But his time in power ended. Point blank. The young wolf returned to Winterfell's Great Hall. Cregan was still way before, I think he was like 16. So he was still a wee baby. I know what I was when I was 16, a wee baby. But he was unbroken, and he had proven to the North that he was in charge. He could lead. And that was... That kind of solidified that Stark's line for the longest time. It was one of the longest and most respected reigns in Stark history. He would go on to rule the North for 50 or more than 50 years through multiple Targaryen kings. And then it comes to the Dance of the Dragon. I actually made a video on the Hour of the Wolf, which was just tremendous, from Cregan Stark. During the Dance of the Dragons, both Rhaenyra and King Aegon sought his alliance, but he stayed true and basically he made a pact with Rhaenyra's son, which I might make a video on because there's some lore that he may have done some things in the North, yada yada. And he served as Hand of the King as Aegon III, presiding over the realm's justice, what would be known as the Hour of the Wolf. I'll probably tag that, but it was, God, the Hour of the Wolf was glorious, in my opinion. So, Cregan Stark won Winterfell in a brief struggle, and that's just where we're going to end it. Again, there was a lot of things where, if depending on where you looked, you get some fan fiction for this. I tried to cut out all of the, well, it could have been this, it could have been that, the name could have been this, it could have been that. These are just the facts of what happened. A bunch of people said a bunch of other houses got involved. A bunch of people said, oh, it was a siege. It doesn't make any sense for them to have a siege if it seemed like they were both already in Winterfell. What are you going to siege? Like, it doesn't make any sense. More than likely, it was like, I got more boys than you, and I got 10 and you got 5. I win. But, yeah, those are the facts, folks. Have a good rest of your day, and again, I'll try to find that video of the Hour of the Wolf, because it's just amazing.